Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Welcome to yet another session and discussion on leadership. Welcome to Leadership Sastang. This is not my Valentine look. I wish you all a very, very happy Valentine, by the way. This is not a Valentine look. This is a shadi look because weddings are in the air, and thankfully I'm invited for a few. Otherwise, I would have felt real FOMO. So I have to rush out and attend a wedding, but I couldn't have missed this commitment we have with each other every Tuesday at 7:30. So here I am in a little bit of a gaudy avatar, but what's important is that we keep the conversation going and we keep the learning going. And today what we're going to learn is a very, very important part of our life. So before I go any further, let me share with you one of the longest studies that Harvard Business School conducted was to understand what makes people really happy. So they needed to know what is it that really, really makes us happy, the majority happy. It's not like just a few people feeling motivated, but what is it that people are excited and happy about? And they realize that it's not money, it's not bonuses, it's not even status, it's actually the quality of your relationships. So the quality of your relationship has a direct impact on the quality of life that you enjoy, which means today's topic is the most important topic to spend some time on. So thank you so much for all of you who joined me live. I know you're all set to get on with your Valentine celebration. Thank you so much for stopping by for this satsang, because after listening to this session, you will enjoy your dinner even more, and I promise you that. So what we are here to talk about is if love can be understood, if love has a language, not restricting love to just romantic love, but any love, any amount of love, any relationship in which you experience love has a few languages that we need to understand. Isn't it funny that our relationships always start very excited? There is a spark, there is excitement, and over a period of time, no matter how awesome you are or how good the other person is, slowly it starts fizzling down. Happens, just say happens in the chat box. That happens. It's happened to you. It happens to all of us. Why does that happen is an important question. Now, it's not necessary that it happens because you did not know each other from before. Even if you have known each other for years, after some time, that relationship starts fading. It starts going south. It starts drying up. And the reason for that is that we forget that we need to nurture our relationships very, very consciously if those relationships are important. The first and the most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. But if you're taking care of that, then the other few around you, your inner circle, is very, very important for you to enjoy good quality of life by enjoying good relationships with these people, because they matter, whether it's your parent or your spouse, your children, some of your neighbors, maybe some close friends, some office colleagues you've been working with for years. All these people are important people. But you know what? No matter how much I express my love or no matter how much I show that I care, sometimes these people just don't get it. Sometimes I feel that it's just never enough for them. In fact, it might just never be enough for them. Do you feel that way? Just say me in the chat box. Let's get our conversation going, guys. Do you think you also feel sometimes that I try, I know these people are important, Yuki, I try to do what I can for them, I even go out of my way, but it looks like it's never enough sometimes, just never enough. So just say me in the chat box if you feel this way, because let me tell you, I have also felt this way. And it's frustrating. It gets you very angry. Sometimes you feel very disappointed. Sometimes you think that the other person doesn't want to see only. Usko dekhna hi nahi hai ki aap kitna effort dal rahe ho. To effort dalne ka kya fayda? And then you just want to let it be. Ki okay, now that we are married, stuck with each other, I'm not the only one who has to figure out. You also figure out what we need to do. Or let it be the way it is. And then there goes the quality of your life because you're not taking charge of your relationship. Now, there could be a situation where you're not okay, which means that you are really upset about the way things are between you and this very important person in your life. And it's absolutely okay to take some time till you are okay. Because if you are not okay, then you can't help fix anything, right? So please take your time and don't put a gun on your head that Okay, now that I know languages of love, I am the one who has to make it work. Sure, you are, because you're taking responsibility of your life, and I love you for that. But you need to give time to yourself sometimes, and that is okay. It's okay to take some time, get yourself together, and then approach the other person and see how this can be fixed, how we can understand each other better. So, with this bit of knowledge or learning that you're going to take away from the session will automatically add a lot more to the understanding that you have with each other. Sorry if you're listening to some music in the background because Valentine party is on here in my office. So people are having fun outside. And I know you want to have fun too. So go ahead and have some fun soon after we're done with this session. But let me quickly tell you that there is a beautiful book written by Dr. Chapman called The 5 Love Languages. I strongly recommend you read that because after I read it, it really, really helped me work on my relationships a lot better. It gave me a lot more clarity on why people are the way they are. And what do I need to do to get along with them, to be understood, to be loved, and for my love to reach out to them. So here are the 5 languages of love. As I explain them to you, I want you to identify your love language. And then we'll go to understanding what is your spouse's love language, what is your child's. Now, you are my focus. Okay, so are you ready? Just say ready, ready, ready in the chat box. Let's say ready, and let's get on with these 5 love languages. Okay, now what does it even mean to have a love language? Love language basically just helps us understand that when we do something for people, we expect them to do something similar for us, which means when we are expressing love in a certain manner, using a certain language, we expect the same language because that's how we experience love. But when you're loving the other person, it is about the other person and not about you. So let me pause it for now. Let's first get back to you and what is your love language. Then we'll take this discussion forward in the direction where I'm headed. Okay, number 1 language is service. When somebody does something for you, you feel served, then you feel loved. If somebody gives you a glass of water when you come back tired, if somebody wants to serve you warm food, if somebody takes care of your packing, unpacking, if somebody pampers you by doing things for you, by doing certain chores for you, is when you feel loved, when somebody does some service for you. And that is your love language. If that's your love language, then say service in the chat box. I've got 4 more coming in. So you may want to say service because, yeah, maybe this is one of my love languages and you could have a few. But if this is your love language, say service in the chat box. Let's see, some of you are already identifying with it that, yes, if somebody does something for me, I feel loved. And that's my love language. But that's one. The second love language is appreciation. When people acknowledge you, appreciate your efforts, appreciate your goodness, is when you feel loved. When somebody gives you compliments, is when you feel loved. If that's your love language, then say appreciation in the chat box, okay? And it could be service and appreciation. But what do you feel more strongly about? When somebody appreciates you, do you feel more loved? Or when people do things for you, do chores for you, is when you feel loved? It could be both. Which one is a little more than the other? And then we have 3 more to go. The next love language is gifts. Gifts, receiving gifts is not because you are materialistic. It's not because you can't buy things for yourself. You could buy everything under the sun, right? And you just don't care about materialistic things. But getting a gift for somebody is somebody being thoughtful. Somebody spending that kind of time and effort to think about you and think about what you would like, what would look good on you, and then picking that up for you. So it's way beyond just money. It's about all the effort that goes behind picking a gift for somebody else. When someone does that for you, you feel loved. If that is your love language, then say gift in the chat box. And please do not judge yourself for being materialistic because you feel loved when somebody gives you a gift. It could be something very simple, very small, or big or grand, whatever it might be. It makes me feel loved because it tells me that somebody thought of me, right? And that's perfectly okay. It's a very, very beautiful love language to have. The fourth one is intimacy. When somebody sits close to you, holds your hand, there is a physical contact, there is some level of intimacy between you and this person, is when you feel loved. When you feel that, okay, we're not just friends, we are close to each other, we share some intimacy together. This is an intimate relationship. It's a very personal relationship. And when that happens is when I feel loved and I feel special, that I'm not just one of the many friends you have. I am someone special because we share this intimacy together. And that could be your love language. And the last one is quality time, spending quality time. So when somebody dodges an important meeting because you're not feeling okay, or when somebody takes a day off because it's your birthday, or when somebody stretches one more day when you go outdoor for a meeting, and that gets stretched to a mini vacation so that you can have some good time and you both could spend some time together, giving you their quality time is your way of feeling and receiving love. Somebody spending quality time with you. The moment they enter home, they just dump their phone aside. They want to sit with you, talk to you about how your day was, have a meal with you. That's quality time. And that's what you really value the most. And when somebody does that for you, you really feel loved. So what is your love language? Let's just have that in the chat box. Service, quality time, gifts. Again, it could be a mix, all right? It could be one or two, but I would insist that you pick one for now. It could be appreciation and intimacy or some other combination. But for now, what is coming out to you really, really strong? That, this one is non-negotiable. If this doesn't happen, I don't feel loved. What is that out of these 5? It's very important to understand your own love language, because when you do, you realize that you expect the same from the other person. But here is the thing. We all have different love languages. And we could be married to each other, or we could actually have a blood relation. We could be siblings, and yet we could have different love languages. We could be a parent-child, and yet different love languages. So what we need to do with this piece of learning is 2 things. Number 1, we need to be clear about how we feel loved, and we need to find the right time and opportunity to communicate that, share that with people around us who we care for, our inner circle, not just the whole world outside, right? But just these 4 or 5 people that, what, by the way, when you do this for me, I really feel loved. It's important that they know it, because it might not be their language. And that takes me to the second thing that you need to do. You need to spend some time observing what makes the other person feel loved. It doesn't have to be the same as you, or it could be. It could be that I feel loved when you spend quality time with me, but I realize that if I compliment you, if I appreciate you, you really feel loved. And maybe appreciation is right at the top for you, but quality time could be right at the top for me. So irrespective, find your love language, communicate that to people you love, notice their love language, and love them that way. With that, let me conclude today's satsang. Otherwise, the music will totally take over. Let the Valentine celebration take over. Love is in the air. And I do hope and pray that love is always in the air for you all. Thank you so much for joining Leadership Satsang today. Wish you all a very, very happy Valentine's Day. I'm going to see you here next Tuesday at sharp